Welcome to the Recruiter Startup Podcast. I apologize, I haven't recorded in a little while. Jamie Wilkinson has brought me out of retirement because
For my sins.
for your sins, because
Yeah.
we're here to support Donald Trump's ascension to winning back the presidency. No, we're not allowed to be political here. Jamie, tell me what's going on with you.
Not a lot, mate. It's almost a year to the day. I think it's the 12th of August officially that I started on my journey of creation of what I hope is going to be and what I'm positive is going to be a world-class talent provider for the Salesforce ecosystem. Europe, US, roller coaster ride, right? Kind of
Yeah.
go in with all of these amazing ideas that evolve over a 12-month period. But we've done good. We've set a really good foundation now and a good platform to kind of continue investment and continue build out. And it's exciting. It's good. It's hard, but it's good fun.
I was privy to see some of those blueprints before the launch, and I was like, "Wow, this is an amazing project. I wonder who they'll get." And then I saw your name pop up on it, and I
And
was
you
like,
thought,
"Oh,
oh God, bad
oh,
move.
here we go."
Yeah, it's been good, mate. And it was a strange time. I've spoken before about this. It was in theory, it could have been a really bizarre time to start a company, but actually, it was for me the best time to
Yeah,
go and put something new out there because tough market, tough times. I think everything is much more visible. I think when everything's great and everybody's happy and making loads of cash,
yeah,
I think it's almost like a honeymoon period in a relationship, right? It's not the real kind of, you don't get to see a lot of the real side of things that quite often aren't great, but
yeah.
it gives you an opportunity when you see the bad to work out how you can make it good rather
Not
than
just
just
not
everything.
just that, but like if the market was overcooked, what you had was like highly paid resourcers calling themselves 360s who
Mhm.
were pricing themselves out of a job.
Yeah.
So if you were to try and do this hiring ramp up that you're going through right now, then you'd be like, well, I can't do it. Like it would be too costly. Whereas what you can really see now is evidence. So over the last 6 to 8 months, you can go, how'd you get on?
Yeah.
Because I know it was hard. Let's find out exactly what you did because that's what you're worth. Like
Yeah.
not that fantasy land that we all lived in 2 years before, like
Yeah.
which was amazing. Like bring it back, but it's you've got to see the real people and interview the real people. What's that been like uh from an experience of so you were at Third Republic before at the top of the market,
Mhm.
and I'm sure were you in New York at the time?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're
Both
at the
times.
top of the market, interviewing people who I'm sure were asking for astronomical money to
Mhm.
flip it on its head. You've got a new project, the
Mhm.
market's tanked, but you're preparing for the market on the upside. What's that dichotomy been like?
Uh, it's been like chalk and cheese, really. But I think, I think some of the obstacles and some of the kind of the difficulties of finding good people, which is always tough in recruitment, whether it's a poor or a good market. Um, I think they kind of remain the same because, which might sound surprising, but you're dealing, with being in New York, great market, everybody's making cash, everybody's happy, right? And then you're trying to interview people, and whether you're having to overpay or you're circumnavigating um, bullshit. Am I allowed to say that on
You
here?
could say that, yeah.
Okay. Um, in the context of people's capabilities or what they've been doing, it's really hard. You touched upon it just then. It's really hard to see what somebody can really do
Mm,
when everything is super easy.
yeah.
So when you're then coming into my position now, or the last 12 months, 11 months of trying to find good people, there's no kind of barriers. There's no one's holding up a screen so you can't see them fully. You can really
Mm.
understand people's capabilities, and capabilities in a place right now that's tough.
Mm.
So I actually think right now, for me, when I'm talking to people, when I'm meeting people, which is consistent, it's pretty cool
Yeah.
because, like you said, what have you done in the last 6 to 8 months? How have you, circumnavigated some of the barriers that are out there right now in the marketplace? What have you done differently? How did you, how did you shift the ship?
Yeah.
How did you move the targets? So there's much more realism
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
right now to what there was, you know, 3 years ago,
So if
2 years.
you like in a tight market, you'll really hear the truth when you ask for money.
100%. And also, I spoke about this. I was talking about this with Tom, the director of Cloud 4, and we were talking about. I made an analogy which I love doing, as you know, and my analogy was, in our business right now, and in the current market, people have to like the spotlight.
Yeah.
And this was my analogy. Because if you don't like the spotlight,
Yeah.
this is like the worst thing. But if you want people to hear you, if you want people to see you, if you want to grab the mic
Yeah.
and smash out a bit of Wham on the karaoke, right? This is the perfect time. And this is the perfect business for you because it's a startup. Like the
Roy Keane
stage
has
is there.
Roy Keane has this quote I remember reading years ago, and he says, "You have to be addicted to a certain modicum of pressure,
Mhm,
and you have to like get a feeling for what that is and the expectancy, and then
mhm.
just steer into it and know that that there is your new normal." And
Yeah,
oh, I
mate, it's
quite like that.
mate, it's absolutely on point. You can't. How can I put it? You can't sing unless you grab the mic, and you can't project your voice unless you get on the stage, and you can't get an audience unless you sing really well. And it's kind of like you can't bullshit anybody. It's like if you're good,
Yeah,
you'll be okay, and if you're not, you won't be. And
yeah,
if the pressure of somebody asked me the other day, how is the pressure of being in a business that's you're the founder of versus working for other founders? And
sure.
it's a completely different pressure because I have the ability to make decisions and changes and the support of an amazing investment team, and that then takes away the frustration or the yeah, I guess the non-committal piece from yourself if you don't believe
Yeah.
in what other people are doing. But then the shift of that is, well, yeah, if you make a bad decision,
Mm.
it's on you, right?
Yeah, I would steer into that just a little bit because so in February I went to Australia, I was mentioned before, and I did a bit of a tour of a lot of clients we had in Rec to Rec over the years, and I could see the market was almost at its bottom, and the guys, Charlotte was running the team at RecWired and RecWired Plus, the training platform we've just built, so she'd got this gone through this beta project with 12 companies,
Mhm.
and they got to a point where they're like, it's ready now. And I came back and I said, okay, look, I'll sell it from here, and I'm going to step out of Rec to Rec. You jump in, run that business now. So the first thing I did, I set up a load of demos, me and the guy who runs the product. And the first thing I did was, I go through it. I go through the sales process of how to run a demo. I've kind of done stuff like that before,
Yeah.
and I go in and and the guys are like, I'm really sorry, I'm not going to buy. Don't be sorry. Tell me why not. And then they go, well, this is, and so if I fix this, will you buy? Potentially. Okay, great. I did this 50 times, and I brought the guy from product with me each time. And then each time we go away, we add it to it, and then we iterate it, we fix it. So people will tell you the truth when the market's tight.
Yeah.
So never waste a good recession. Like build something in times that are hard. So when that wave comes, you have something that's bulletproof, and steer into it.
100%. And I think this, these are the conversations that we're having with clients as well. It's easy to have conversations with clients when they go, "Whoa, we need 5 architects next week," and it's kind of like, but when the market's low with regards to investment in people,
Yeah,
certainly externally, that's when we can actually have the conversations where we're talking about what are you doing, how are you circumnavigating the market, whether you're speaking to a partner about selling projects to end users, whatever it might be, you're getting real information.
yeah,
So I feel, certainly personally, and the guys within the team, we're so much closer
yeah,
we're so much closer to the heat. We're
yeah,
not like just looking down and, oh, this looks nice. We're right in there.
yeah,
And I think, again, that ability to learn and evolve and change and, maybe go left rather than right all the time. We're slowly piecing the puzzle together, a bit like you, right? And the kind of the consistent improvements of the business to make it sellable. And it's this is only, I think, certainly from a personal perception, or sorry, perspective, in my a kind of ever evolving knowledge and understanding of recruitment and the Salesforce ecosystem that I work within, it's kind of like it's helping a lot, because it's not, yeah, we need people hiring, everybody, right? We just chuck a load of big salaries out the door and try and bring people in. It's,
yeah.
you're having to kind of almost watch every step. I mean, I haven't got it perfect over the last 12 months, far from it. But I feel like every month we're progressively understanding more,
Mm.
you know, getting a little bit better at understanding the key components of what people are, of the barriers to market or whatever.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the pieces of the puzzle are being put together over
And
this period of time.
when you're doing this, do you go for the vendor side or do you go for the in-house? How do you divide up that there?
Yeah, so we look at partners and end users. So we work with both. We've got a really strong
The partners
foothold.
is probably easier, is it? In terms of like making that work?
I think probably, in a nutshell, probably, yeah.
More candidate
Because,
led.
yeah, and also you can tell with regards to the market trajectory, if the partners are busy, then that's because the
Yeah.
end users are buying, right? So there's a direct correlation that helps us then understand the market. So, it's almost a bit of a buffer, right? It's a bit of a buffer to market. It's giving you, some knowledge and some insights that if you were just channeling the end user, it would be pretty tough, because you're dealing with, a partner might be dealing with 20 end users. Well,
Mm.
if you're dealing with one end user, that's one.
Yeah.
So the information that we're getting fed back is hopefully helping us move.
Originally, are you from the Bristol area?
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
Why do I sound like that?
Yeah.
Really?
You do, but
Ah,
I've out of quick you don't necessarily sound like a sheep shagger. Like it's not that, but
okay.
I
Thanks, mate.
it's a yeah,
It's a
yeah,
compliment, I think.
yeah, there's a bit of corporate bastardization of your accent in there somewhere that's
Yeah.
made you a bit more highfalutin. But wanted to ask, early days in recruitment in Bristol,
Mm, mm,
leadership roles within the Opus group. Um, it, how has that Opus situation affected the whole ecosystem of Bristol? Because that leadership team now has gone to create. I would love to know how much jobs they've created between them in Bristol and all the
yeah.
recruitment startups,
Yeah.
because it's almost become the third hub or
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
fourth hub, right, for recruitment in the
Yeah.
UK.
But Darren's still a really good friend, and Darren, managed to pull together just some really good people, right? And I'm sure we'll touch upon this at some point, but I say this to everybody: a startup is only as good as the people that you bring in. If you bring in good people, it's going to be a successful startup. If you don't, it won't work. And I think what Darren did was, with Ryan, Chris, and Nigel, I think they were the original three. He pulled in three super impressive, driven,
Mm.
successful people.
Yeah.
And, you know, from there on in, it was just, you know, I mean, I've never seen anybody work as hard as Darren Rymill. It was a bit weird.
Really.
It was like a robot, yeah. And you're right, you know, you've got Tom now doing his thing, or Tom Ponting, you've got Tom Hurley, you've got Ryan, you've got Chris Sheard, you know, everybody's kind of gone off and created some really cool and successful businesses. But I think what he did was it was just all based around hard work, focus, you know, the team ethic. It was very together. I loved it. I loved my time there, and I love working with him and the other guys. You know, I worked with Tom Ponting, known AKA as the Mitchell brothers, because at the time I didn't have any hair before I used I used this amazing food treatment, which works, by the way. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was part of my
Called
New
a
York.
plane ticket to Turkey.
Exactly. No, mate. No. Went to New York, came back with a full head of hair. Amazing. Um,
That's the equivalent of buying a speedboat and the good times of recruitment, eh?
oh, mate, is a result of that market. Thank you
Next
very
time,
much,
the next upswing, I'm on the first plane to Turkey.
mate. I've got you
Right.
covered.
Oh,
Uh,
lovely.
it's the most awful experience, but wonderful at the same time. But I think the platform for hard work was really set in those times and before. I mean, I started my career at Hayes, right?
Mm.
Um, and I think that you know that it's very different environment to the environment that we work in now, which has its pluses and its negatives, right?
Yeah.
I think I think there's some incredible leaders out there. I think there's some incredible new leaders coming through. I think there's now a blend of the kind of old school and the new age of thought within recruitment. And I think that there's a really happy medium between those two to create almost what would be the
In a
perfect
hot,
recruiter.
honestly, right? In a hot market, there's so much bullshit.
Yeah.
It breaks people are just going, oh, I've got this solution, it's working, and it's because it's my solution, and it's my system, and my system is better than every other system, and here's the proof. Because all you've done is catch a wave and put a bit of confidence into people, and then taking the results and showing it to the market. Show
Mhm.
me and all these people have gone quiet, and the ones who aren't quiet, they're not giving me any data. Like, show me the data of what actually works. Now, I I believe in a modicum of personal branding does work, but only within the confines of a large marketing strategy.
Mhm.
And I I think like recruiters, the old school element of it is super important. Having the confidence to just figure out how to build that relationship with with that target audience, and be confident enough to call them, so the next time the call is a bit easier, and then the next time it's a bit more familiar, and having the skills to be able to navigate that and not be annoying, and to add value, and to do all of that, and not hide behind a screen and go, but my personal brand's great. Like that kind of grates on me a lot.
Well, I think there's again, I think there's a happy medium. I think it's really important that people get to know who you are. But the reality of it
Yeah.
is that you can be pushing your personal brand and doing this great job of pushing your personal brand into the market. But then if the humanization within your business is at kind of -10,
Yeah.
and you know no one actually gets to speak to you, which I have a massive problem with. I think the whole AI and automation piece is fantastic,
Yeah.
but only if it adds to you rather than subtracts from you.
Yeah.
I'm all about humanization, and you know I don't want to work with iRobot. I'd like to work with somebody, please, if that's
Yeah.
possible. I love chatbots, but I also hate them at the same time quite significantly.
Did you get into recruitment in 1999?
Yeah, 99, 2000, yeah.
Wow. So straight out of school?
Pretty much. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm approaching my mid late 40s now, so I'm on the way. But yeah, it was. Listen, in those days, it was kind of like, here's a box, just phone everyone,
Yeah.
right? Here's the first tranche of Bond Adapt.
Yeah.
It was like the first version I think I was working on. But I mean, those days have gone. But I think there's certain values, I guess, in mindsets that
Yeah.
shouldn't be completely shelved from those days.
Yeah.
I think, if you look at even if you look at sport, right, and I'm a huge American football fan, played obviously for several years, and you look at Vince Lombardi, right,
Yeah.
and he's referenced in so many different guises and books by some very famous motivational speakers. Vince Lombardi coached in the 50s.
Yeah.
So you know what? It's okay if we take some of the stuff from
From the
20
past.
from 20 or 25 years ago. Sure. Like
Yeah.
that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Oh God, it's terrible. The world's different now. That's okay. But
Yeah.
people still did some pretty cool stuff 25 years ago, right? So I think we need to be careful not to be seen to be cool, to be completely different. It's kind
Yeah.
of like, yeah, we're gonna do things in a completely different way. It's kind of like, that's cool. I mean, horses for courses, but I still hold on to some things that I've been taught, from Debbie Flowers, who was my first boss, who was amazing, or Howard Bentwood at Cedar, who was just a really inspirational leader for me, and talked to me about being pragmatic and not waffling.
Yeah.
That was my lesson from him. But there's small pieces that I've kind of taken from everybody, and I guess that have built my beliefs and my passion and
Yeah.
my thoughts around recruitment. But I'm always looking. I've learned a lot from Paul and Tim and Adam, and I'll continue, and I still want to learn. And I
Yeah.
think I love the fact that my brain is still, you
Still
know,
working. Yeah. Tell
yeah.
me just on the health and fitness side of
Mm,
things,
mhm,
keep yourself in good nick.
mhm.
How did you manage to stay alive within 25 years of recruitment? And to be like in your 40s in good shape, like most guys I meet in their 40s who've been in recruitment,
Yeah.
and they need to be wheeled in and out of a room. Like, is it something that like you just carried on the whole way through, or did you have a point where you went, actually, I I need to sort this out? Because it's probably when I had kids is when I really started going, "Do you know what, actually, I can't keep up this lifestyle."
Do you know what, mate? It's my coping mechanism. So it's my out. So when I played American football, as soon as I put my shoulder pads on for 2.5, 3 hours,
Yeah.
whatever, I don't care. Like my car's blown up in the car park. That's all right. I'll deal with it later. It,
Yeah.
it was my kind of getaway time, my escape from the world. And the gym is that for me now. Box for a while, wasn't very good. I could take a good punch.
No
I
head
don't know,
movement.
mate. Yeah, I would take 3 or 4
Yeah.
just to get one.
You
Probably not the
Joe Joyce in your way through.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, exactly that. In fact, but the gym for me is just a coping mechanism. It's my escape. I'm very dedicated. I train, I don't know, 5, 6 times a week. I've had reconstruction surgery on both shoulders, but I'm still, I still can go in there and do okay. It's I love my fitness, and for anybody, I always tell even my friends, if they're having a bad day, I'm like, come on, I'll get you in the gym for an hour. Like just forget about stuff. And I think it's that self-challenge thing.
Yeah.
Dare I say it? I don't know whether I should say it on this podcast, but I I'm probably going to go
We're
back
going
and have
into
an.
dangerous territory now. I'm
Mate, this is
luring
yeah.
you. I'm luring you
Mm,
in. You can feel it.
man, I think I'm going to have another season playing next season and some
Yeah.
some American football. Yeah, but I probably won't do a lot. Probably just stand on the sideline. But um, I like challenge.
Yeah.
I like to be aiming for something all the time, and not just inside of work, outside of work, whether that be playing another season. So I've been doing a lot of work on my hamstrings because they're made of paper mache.
Yeah.
So I like to keep challenged, and I think part of that probably transgresses into the gym thing, and keeping fit and doing all that kind of stuff. I mean, you do it, right? So
Yeah. So I had well, I had to make a call this weekend.
Right.
So I was invited to two weddings. I have mates flying. I'm from this little village in the northwest of Ireland, and
Mm.
this is the bank holiday weekend in August where everybody flies in from all around the world because everybody leaves, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
most people leave. Um, and it is Wild West. I mean,
Yeah.
I like it, people think they seen Ireland, they go to Dublin. It's not the same. Like this is a mad town. Great, good, fun, safe, all of that, but it's just a lot of drinking and a lot of fun. Um, so I binned it. I decided not to go back. I signed up for a competition in October instead, and got got right into the training, and I need to have that to keep myself
Yeah.
in line. Otherwise, that chimp on the inside will start going, well,
Mate, you
why don't we just have a beer? Why don't we just have a beer tonight? It's Thursday, or I could go in and wrestle with 25-year-old guys and get battered and go like, okay, all right, that was hard. My ego's checked, but do I feel good when I'm leaving the room? Do I feel like I'm more capable the next day? Just those type of things.
yeah, I can't see fitness not being in my life at any point, right? It's shoulders give me a bit of jip, but nothing. I mean, I've been training with pain for years, so I just not excessive pain, but discomfort, and it just will always be there. And I think, I still, put the t-shirt on and think, oh God, this is this is getting a
So
bit this is
let,
getting a bit baggy. I've got problems.
let me jump back into some of the business stuff. So,
Mm,
um, when the man behind the curtain, as I like to call him,
mm,
the Wizard of Oz, the guy who pulls all the strings, when he approached you,
mhm. Ah,
how did
yeah.
he sell? How did he sell this to you? Like, how do you approach somebody and say, "This doesn't exist right now,
Mhm.
but it's your shot. I need you." Like, like, how do they lay that out to get you from a point where you're like, because there's always sacrifices you have to make in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
short term. Do you have to give up stuff in the short term to take a risk like this as a
Mhm,
founder?
mhm,
So you have to and that's going to affect your personal stuff. That's going to
mhm.
affect everything. Like walk me through that pre-journey conversation.
Wow. Okay. I think it was a lot of conversations over a long period of time. So there was an air of it wasn't a knee-jerk thing. It was really well thought through. The Wizard of Oz was incredible with regards to kind of me stepping me through that process.
Yeah,
Effectively, when you're working in a depending upon who you're working for. But when you're working for a business anyway, you could be in startup scenarios, starting new businesses, new desks,
yeah,
new verticals, whatever it may be. There's just certain other challenges around that. But with the backing and the support mechanisms and facilities that I have, it's been probably far less scary and painful than maybe some others. Um, and I think honest up front, my first reaction was, oh God, got to go back,
do
start
I
something.
do I have it in me?
Yeah, yeah, and it's kind of like I've got to go right back to the beginning, theoretically, right? Whatever it was, 25 years ago, um, and then kind of work it back from. I guess the thing that made it easier was thinking about where I want to be, okay, and what do I want to achieve, and then how can I achieve that, and what do I need to do in order to achieve that.
Yeah,
And we do the same thing, right? When we're speaking to clients, what's your end goal?
yeah,
Right. Okay, let's work it back to how we're going to get there.
yeah,
And I did that with myself. Um, and I think that gave me the kind of motivation, the excitement, yeah, okay, I'm gonna have to, I'm staring at things on a Sunday at 3 o'clock in an afternoon sometimes, but I know where I want to go, and I
yeah.
know how I need to get there, and I know that the sacrifices I need to make in order for that to happen. But I know what's going to, I'm super confident in this happening. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it.
Sure.
And I wouldn't have done it in the first place. And every day that goes by, the confidence increases because you see more, you understand more. You think, shit, I shouldn't have done that. I should have done this, and that progressive learning is happening in the background. But no, it was only a short period of time where I was like, because I kind of sat there and just, it's about being honest with yourself, right? It's kind of like, you know, are you happy to have the spotlight? Are you happy to stand on the stage? Are you happy to sing the song? Because if you can and you do it well, then it's going to create something pretty special for you.
Yeah.
So it wasn't too difficult to do it. And also, in all fairness to, some of the individuals that I'd worked for before, they all said to me, look, you need to be your own boss, right? You're really passionate about certain things. This is the right thing for you to do. So that actually really helped as well,
Yeah.
getting the perspective.
And building a team now,
Mm.
what's it like trying to build a team? Because we hire young people in recruitment. We're first, second jobbers traditionally. What's it like connecting with the next generation as opposed to like 10 years ago or 15 years ago? Like, what are the things that you're finding you have to navigate?
I think, I think it's just more about really understanding the human being rather than the capability. So kind of the capability almost now is secondary, right? It's kind of like the ability to work within sales, to have the bravery to pick up the phone and have clients tell you to go away every 5 minutes, whatever it might be. It's you really need to understand the individual and their motivators, their wants, their goals, um, short, medium, long term. I think there's much more investment in time in actually getting to understand who people actually are. You mentioned the word real, right? Getting to the nitty gritty, getting to the bones of the individual and really seeing the setup of the skeleton, rather than just, oh yeah, they're cool, they're fun, and they've done rec for a couple of years, and
Yeah.
they're going to be great. And it's I've got a young guy working for me, Max, who is 23, 24 years old, and he blows me away every day. He brings me stuff, content, and he's like a 60-year-old, kind of philosopher coming to me with all of these incredible things.
Yeah.
So I think as far as in, people talk about the millennials and the Gen Zs and all this kind of stuff. I think he's kind of looking past that and actually looking at the people that really are inside. Um, and it's fun. I love speaking to people, and some people are right for me, and some people aren't.
Yeah. I think it's a nice way to look at it. I ran a remote business for a long, long time, launching the martial arts gym here, Angry Chill. So we've like got 60 guys on the like in the club in Gibraltar here. And the age ranges go from 16 to 60. And when you see people suffer on the mats and all the rest, it's all down to the same characteristics. And as long as they keep turning up and showing up all the
Yeah.
time, it it's hard to say, oh, this person's a millennial or this. You can see human characteristics in people.
And I think we need to. I think it's really tough, right, when you put labels on people. For me, my my biggest, most important, I guess, personality trait of anyone. And by the way, I'm copywriting this because I know this is spread. I call it gas.
All right.
Give a shit, right?
Okay. All right.
If I can get somebody that gives a shit, then that's the first box massively ticked. Because if somebody cares, somebody does something about it, right? If you don't
But you
care,
have
you
to
don't.
find why. You have to find out why.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. You've got a give a shit mentality. Why have you got it?
Yeah.
What does that actually mean? How's that going to then process into recruitment or going out into sales? And it's I think sometimes the Gen Z and millennial kind of title actually I actually think it's quite unfair because I think sometimes it will make people think certain things and they're completely wrong.
Yeah.
Not old like me.
No. Well, you are very old.
Thank you, mate.
You're very
You're
old.
very old.
I am sort of old. I'm actually still a
Uh,
millennial. I'm
I
still a
mean,
millennial. Technically, I am the oldest millennial, but I'm in this weird bracket where we grew up as teenagers um with the internet, but not as kids.
I think that's kind of the same for me.
You're 40 what?
I'm not revealing my age on this. That's rude. I'm 47.
Yeah, no, you didn't, eh? You didn't because those 5 years counted. It took 6 years, sorry.
Well, it was a blurry 5 years.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The good old days.
The good old
So
days, yeah.
um the business was pitched, so the proposition was pitched to you. You made the
Hmm.
sacrifices.
Hmm.
Can you give people an insight into like what that looks like to come into a structure, like the benefits of that, like is the database populated, is there like a marketing structure, a is the clients ready to go, is it just finance, or is it finance and advice, is it like if you don't hit that roadmap of growth, what happens, like
Hmm.
what can, just because there'll be lots of people who'll be directors of a recruitment firm,
Hmm.
or an MD like you are,
Hmm.
um, and they'll be wondering, like, it, how do I navigate? How do I choose the right funding options? First off, like, and how do I make this a collaborative partnership that's going to work for me, for them, for everybody? And it's not just like, I've seen some disaster stories, and I know
Hmm.
loads of people who are under NDAs who can't talk about it. And because they've signed contracts, they've got the money, and then they've just been binned out. They've done the work for a year, and then that business is carried on, and they're like, they just made the mistake. How do you navigate all of that?
Listen, I think it's a great question. I think, and without sounding too cliche, it's about doing it with the right people and just being very, very open and honest from day dot of having those conversations. I think from my perspective, I'm happy to take criticism. I'm happy to take advice. I want to learn. I want to evolve. I want to continue to kind of, build on my mindset and capabilities. But at the same point in time, you also have to, for me, it was really important to be backed by people that believed in me. So if somebody believes in you and what you want to build, and you're presenting a business plan and they're going, cool, this is great, then you just have to be really disciplined and have like the most powerful amount of belief in what you're doing, right? Because if you really believe in what you're doing, you're going to probably succeed. If there's any self doubt, if there's any, I could do this or I could do that. And I've spoken to people that have asked me, what do you think? And I'm like, cool, what do you want to do? And they've gone, well, probably like, and I'm like, whoa, okay, stop. There is no,
Yeah.
there's no room in the market for the moment, at the moment, whether it be a startup or whether it even be a business that's been founded for several years, to kind of do anything.
Yeah.
Like you can't dip your toe in, you got to jump in, and
Yeah.
that's it. You're kind of all in or not at all, within verticals, within markets, um, within locations. It's an unforgiving market. So for me, it was really important that I was dealing with people that I believed had my back.
Mm.
B, I believed I could press on for not mentorship, but bouncing ideas, somebody pushing back, oh, Jamie,
Yeah.
which with the wizard, I have a particularly good
Yeah.
relationship in that way. And he's taught me a lot already. And I think, yes, there are expectations, of course, but be open,
Yeah.
be honest, right? Okay, well, struggling a bit here. They don't. If something's bad, say, right? one thing that I just haven't done well enough is pipeline talent, right? Bringing people in. I've done okay with it, but I could have done better, and that's one of my big learns over the 12 months. We were
Yeah.
talking about it yesterday in a board meeting, but you know,
A simple solution to that is just to automate your LinkedIn account to be networking out there for you. So then it just gets booked into your diary, and
yeah,
like you set aside time, Friday afternoons. Friday afternoons, you speak to three different guys networking a week. You add that up over a period of time, and you won't have a reactionary. But
yeah,
a guy, if you're not pitching a job, and it's just like, listen, I've been you. I There's going to be a time. Would you like to have a chat? Anybody who's over manager level, say they're director, AD, they'll have a conversation like that because they're thinking of what's next, especially going through what people have gone through in the last 18 months.
yeah. I think I mean, I've never seen, certainly from my perspective, I don't know if you'd agree, but over the last probably 18 months, it's like everybody's starting up, right?
Yeah.
Everyone. I've seen a lot of,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, maybe it's just because I'm more observant of startups because I've done it myself.
Yeah. I think
So maybe that isn't the case.
you're probably in the ecosystem of it.
Mm.
I think there was an unbelievable amount of startups in uh, whenever COVID happened because they all lost their job. Typically, that'll happen. You'll be put under pressure. It becomes a worse environment. You then reflect on what your life is, and you
Mm.
go, actually, will I just do this for myself? And then how do I do it? Um, but I would say in terms of scalable startups, there's not a tremendous amount in the last 18 months because there's not a lot of liquid in the market to make it happen. And there's a lot of independent recruiters that have fallen over because they haven't had the money. So it's right now we're at the very end, I think, of the liquidity problem, but
I
still tough.
agree. I think I think the other thing I'd say is as well is as much as your backers, your investors, whatever you want to call them, can be amazing. If your plan and
Yeah,
also your immediacy of staffing,
yeah,
right, it isn't firm, you're going to find it tough. I needed to surround myself with good people as quickly as I could.
yeah,
Right. It wasn't like oh yeah, I'm going to sit in an office in my underpants for 12 months, and just smash the phones. It was kind of like, right, we're
yeah,
gonna we're gonna do this properly. So you need to, for me, it was important to find people that bought into that philosophy. I've got some good experienced people coming in now, right?
mm,
Or very close to the kickoff date. And then to have that continuation of investment in not just the junior market, but in good people. There's some really
yeah,
good people out there, some really good people out there, of which I'm speaking to currently. And it's I didn't want to go into a situation where we were going to play startup. I wanted to go into a situation where no, we're going to do this.
yeah,
Right. Here's your end of the bargain, Jamie. This is what we require,
yeah,
and you got this. Cool. There was no kind of gray matter. It was very clear. It was super kind of obvious. There was no hidden kind of bits and pieces that I didn't know about. And yeah,
you must be also blessed with your own personal network, had been
yeah,
in the industry and dealt with that.
yeah.
Is there is there a specific group of you that may have kept in touch a bit more, or is there a certain someone outside of your current working arrangement that you lean on a little bit?
Um, yeah, I mean, there's several people. I mean, Darren probably is one of them, right? From Opus. I still keep in contact with Debbie. I still keep in contact with Howard. I think there's certain touch points who, we all do very different things and we all work in very different ways. But, I would massively recommend to anyone that, you can learn from anybody, irrelevant of seniority. But at the same point in time, like you'll touch some people that really kind of, it's not even an impressive thing. It's kind of, you'll touch people that you connect with and that bring out maybe sometimes certain different thoughts or behaviors from you, and they're the people that I've really like clung to, right? Over the years, and I will continue to do so, you know. And I'm meeting more and more people now that I'm kind of like, wow, you know, these are the wizard is putting me in contact with some of these people, right? And it's he's gonna love us calling him the wizard. It's bizarre. It's your fault. You started that way. But it's, you know, it's really important to use people. It's really important. You know, you don't have. I don't know everything. I'm far from it, right? I think I'm good at what I do, but I've got so much room for improvement, and you know, I want people to be challenging me, and I do get challenged, right? And don't shy away from that. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Just to finish up, give us tell us where this is going to be in, well, tell us the roadmap.
So, European hub, being built as we speak, and North America. We do have some good friends that we're working with in South Africa as well.
Okay.
The idea is to continue to build and aim for a world-class talent solutions provider within the Salesforce ecosystem, based out of Tampa, Florida, and based out of London in the UK. That doesn't mean that we won't look at opening additional locations across both Europe and the States, but right now that's where we're at. And we've got big plans, big investment plans. You know, we know that we've got to spend money to get good people.
Yeah,
but
right.
But we also know that, you know, there's some really good people out there. So the risk on investment is probably at a lower level than it was when the market was going crazy and everybody was asking for daft salaries.
Yeah. Prediction on the market.
It's turning.
Okay.
We've seen. I mean, listen, I'm not going to paint a portrait of bullshit, but the reality of it is we've seen a shift in the last. I mean, literally in the last 3 or 4 weeks, a proper shift. You know, we've been okay. We've been doing pretty good, but we've seen a distinct shift in the last 3 or 4 weeks, both in Germany and the US.
Brilliant. All right. Well, that's us today, Jamie. Thanks so much for your time.
I'll see you in about half hour for our chest session.
Yeah. Just chest.
Just chest. Yeah. Maybe 5 minutes cardio.